Hello, this is Tyler with Cinefied. I'm here with John Baird and Stephen Rogers. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for being here, Tyler.
Hi.
Thank you very much. So I'm here to talk to you about your new movie, Everything is Going to Be Great. And I just had a few questions that I was going to ask you. Stephen, what exactly was the inspiration behind the screenplay? Was this a story that you've always wanted to write, or was there something specific that inspired you to write this?
No, I've never always wanted to write anything. I don't. I had written a movie called I, Tanya, which was a true story. And so after that, I was pretty much only offered true stories. And at a certain point, I thought, well, why don't I do one based on the way that I grew up? Um, and then while I was writing it, a lot of my friends were going through that period in their life where they either double down on making their dreams happen or they abandon them and move on. And that was really moving to me, just that question of how long do you chase that dream? And when do you know when not to chase it? And what does that do to people? So that was just sort of the inspiration. And then I said it within a similar way that I grew up because I hadn't seen that on the screen before.
Yeah, I totally get that. As someone who wanted to be an actor growing up, this was something that was really relatable to me and trying to find out where's the threshold, how much do I want to give? Similarly, John, as a director, was there something specifically about the screenplay that really drew you to it, that made you want to direct it?
Well, I wanted to be an actor when I was younger as well. I wanted to be in musical theatre before I ever wanted to be a director. So, when I saw Oliver for the first time when I was about 10 in the West End in London, I wanted to be Oliver. That's who I wanted to be. So musical theatre and theatre has always been. Oh, I've always had an interest in that, and I also related to some of the themes in the film of identity and family and chasing your dream. I come from a remote sort of fishing port in Scotland where being a film director is not really possible. So I could relate to Les's you know journey, and also because I loved Stephen's movie I, Tonya, and so when the script was sent through, and Alison and Bryan Cranston was attached by that point, I thought, well, this is something I really, really have to do. So yeah, it was an easy one for me to say yes to this one.
Wonderful. Yeah, I absolutely love that. We were talking a little bit about I, Tanya, and I was going to bring that up next. I mean, you've both had a lot of real success with really real life subjects. John, even with you with Tetris. How does working on a fiction project differ in terms of responsibilities?
Oh, well, I mean, that is a separate issue that you have to deal with. I feel very loyal to when I was working on I, Tanya. I mean, I was checking in with not only Tanya Harding but Jeff Galooly because I wanted to make sure that they were okay. The press, kind of put them through it, and I didn't want to be a part of that also. So I feel responsibility, but when I'm writing about my family, I didn't feel that so much. I just felt like all it was all fair, you know.
Yeah, I suppose this is definitely fictionalized based on real life. So there is kind of that
Not a documentary.
yeah, exactly. We all know the filmmaking process can be a little bit lengthy at times, from conception and pre-production and all of that, eventually getting to film festivals. How do you decide what stories are worth years of your life and all of that investment that you're putting into, and especially all of that really hard work?
I think it's the first read of the script. I think when you read a script for the first time, me anyway, I'll know straight away if this is something I want to invest in. And if it doesn't happen on the first read, then I won't be, I won't follow it up. But when I do jump in, I give it my all because I realize that if you're spending 2, 3 years of your life with this, and I mean, when was it we first met? It was quite a few years ago, or we first spoke about this. So you do realize that you're going to have to, and you meet the writer and the producer and everything else, and you realize, can I spend a lot of time with it? And I was very fortunate with this one in particular that everybody, kind of restored my faith in the filmmaking process. This one, this particular movie. But again, it's on the first read, I think, on the first read.
Yeah, Stephen, how about you for writing?
What was the question?
Um, it can be really lengthy, all of this process. So what do you think is worth years of spending your life on?
I honestly, I don't think about that at all. When I'm writing something, I'm just thinking about telling the story. And I will say that I always think it's going to get made. I always think it's going to work out. I think I'm just built that way.
I think it's a different question for a writer than it is a director because you kind of hand your baby across, at that point, and
Yeah.
obviously involved in the edit and stuff like that, but less so in the nuts and bolts with the actual diving into production.
Yeah, I don't think about it until you're sort of forced to think about it, like right now, because we made the movie 2 years ago,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and now here we are talking about it. So I didn't reckon on that when I was writing it, but I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was one of the things that I noticed when I was researching this, and I was like, wow, that's a big commitment, hence why I wanted to ask you. I talked a little bit about how much this film meant to me, resonating with these themes, and a lot of the themes that I really enjoyed was doing something you love no matter what cost. And was there a specific moment on set for both of you that really made you think, like, yes, this is why we do this?
Well, unfortunately, we filmed the movie during the writer's strike, and so I wasn't allowed on set.
Wonderful.
They made me feel
So
very welcome. They would send me pictures. I would talk to them every
Yeah.
day. I would see the dailies, but yeah, that was.
Can you, sorry, I was laughing during your question because I knew what the answer was going to be. Sorry, can you just tell me quickly again what the question was? Was there a moment on set when what?
Was there any moment on set that really made you connect with the theme of like doing something that you love no matter what? Was there a moment that made you think, yes, this is why I'm doing this?
Yeah, I think when Ben, who plays Les, I think the end scene always gets me. And when you see him going on stage with the blessing of his, dad at the end there, that's the thing that gets me because it comes full circle and it's a really sweet moment. And when we shot that. I can't remember if we shot halfway through or something.
It was early on.
It was quite early, yeah. But that was the moment for me when, and there's a lot of people crying at that point, like when we were filming it, because it was like an emotional beat. So yeah, that was the moment, the end scene, I think.
But also, I think anybody who is in show business, and I know I'm the last one who still calls it show business, uh, I know that you walk into it gambling on yourself and doing it because you love it and doing it because but I think that's pretty universal of anything you want to do. If you were going to open a business, you have to dream your way into thinking of that and dream your way into making it happen. But certainly I'm a writer. I live in my head, I dream in my head all the time. So yeah, that's just part of what we do, you know.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate you couldn't be on set during the writer's strike. I'm so sorry about that. Um,
It was
this
ironic.
is, I
My
believe this is the first time you've collaborated with each other. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you admire most about each other's craft?
Well, I mean, when I saw Stan and Ollie, I was just like, I was blown away. I loved that movie that John directed, and I just felt like a lot of it was he hit a lot of the comedic moments and the dramatic moments and the heartwarming moments, and so I was really excited to work with John.
Yeah, and likewise, the I, Tonya film, which was a cracking, it was really up my street. It's definitely my kind of movie. Seeing that and obviously reading the script as well, it was a no-brainer for me to get involved with this, So I feel very fortunate that I've been able to work with Stephen on this.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, Tanya was one of the films that I really connected with, and John, I really enjoyed Tetris. So walking into this movie was something that I was really excited about. An early catalyst in the film is Bryan Cranston's character taking a huge risk, both creatively and financially. Would you both say that there was a risk in your career that you think has paid off?
Well, yeah. I mean, when I started out, I wanted to be an actor, but they didn't want me. And so I just thought, well, I'll write my own thing and then I'll be in it. And I thought I'd write the supporting part with the Heart of Gold because those are the parts I played.
Mm.
But I mean, that was a big risk. And the first thing that I wrote was Kate and Leopold. And the first thing I wrote just catapulted me in a different direction. But if I hadn't written it, I don't know what I'd be doing. But you take that chance.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
That's
John, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. I was working at the BBC in London on these topical comedy television shows and desperate to do scripted dramatic work and just was never being given a chance. So from a decent, from a half decent, well paid job, I left the BBC and went away to start shooting short films to showcase that I could do it. And it was a big gamble at the time, financially, creatively, but it paid off. And yeah, it took a long time to get through, but that was kind of the same as Stephen. Nobody was giving me the chance, so I made my own chance.
Yeah, I think that's very similar to a lot of the themes that we see in the film too. And I think that's really, that really resonates as well. Thank you both so much for being here and for answering some questions I have that I threw at your way today. Again, I'm Tyler with Cinefied, and thanks so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you.